Okay.
Hello, hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to our migraine strategy call. For those of you who are new, I'm Debbie Waidl. I am a functional health coach here to support you to your migraine freedom by reducing that severity, duration, and frequency of your migraine and helping you find things that you can do that are sustainable to get to that root cause of the problem instead of just Band-Aid solutions that you've been using before. So in the Freedom from Migraine method, we have many wonderful women who've gone through the program, and Kristin is one of them here today to let us know her experience in the Freedom from Migraine method and share with us her journey, how she's doing now, because we know that it is so hard to believe that there's light at the end of the tunnel, that you can actually find migraine freedom without having to take a pill, without having to do nerve injection surgery or have hysterectomies or whatever it is. So Kristin has graciously offered to come and join us today to tell us her story so that you can learn from her experience and know, again, that there is hope and there is faith in finding migraine freedom yourself. So Kristin, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I'm just going to double check here and make sure that we are streaming before we get started, because I want to make sure perfect. I want to make sure no one is missing anything. So let's just start off by telling us a little bit about your migraine journey, you know, what it was like before you found us.
I have had migraines, or at least headaches, since as long as I can remember. I didn't know they were migraines for many years because they weren't very frequent. They were painful, but not that frequent. And then over the years, they've increased. And when I talked to my doctor, she told me that it wasn't sinus or whatever else I thought it was, but that they were migraines. And in the past couple of years, they've increased in the amount of days they lasted and the intensity, where I went from one to two times a year to before I found this program, I was up to about 8 days a month having migraines that would last 2 to 3 days each. So that's when I started looking for a new option.
And that's so common. And so many women that I talk to, you know, their migraines either start as, you know, they call them headaches or sinus pressure or hormonal headaches. You know, they start anywhere from ages 9 up to, you know, having your first child. And then they seem to increase as we get older, you know, when the perimenopause symptoms hit in, or after, like me, it was after the birth of my second child. So hormones definitely run into play here without a doubt. We know they're not the only factor, but that seems to be when we get those jumps and spikes. So what did you try to do over the years? What were some of the things that you tried to overcome your migraines?
In the beginning, when I didn't know they were migraines, I'd do the traditional Tylenol, Advil, and then I thought they were sinus because I had tons of pressure behind my eyes, behind my eyebrows, through my nose, to my ears. So I tried Sudafed, those types of things. That did nothing because it wasn't sinus. And then when I did speak to my nurse practitioner, who also has migraines, she put me on prescription medication. And this was earlier on when I probably only have like 1 or 2 a month. And it did help for a while. And then my migraines got worse, and it didn't really do anything after a while. And I had a lot of nausea too. So I just felt bad. So the medicine would help for a little bit, and then after a while it wouldn't help. So then you go back to the doctor and they try a new medication. And I have the same problem where I would work for a little bit, like months, not a long time. And then I'd have to double the dose to the max. And then it wouldn't, I mean, it would knock it down from like a 7 to 5, but not, I was never pain-free. It would take the 2 to 3 days to go away.
Exactly. I had the same thing. You know, by the time I was done, I was up to 7 medications, you know, and of course you start at 1 and you're like, oh my God, this is like Christmas. It works. It's great. This is wonderful. And then very quickly it's like, all right, it's dulling the pain. And then the next thing you know, it's like, did I even take it? So this is very common with so many women. And it's just because, again, we're trying to Band-Aid the problem when we take medications. We're not getting to the root cause. So we're trying to cover up that pain. And our body is pretty smart and it realizes what we're doing. And after a while, it's like, oh, well, if you want me to cover up that pain, you got to give me more of that medication. So it sounds like that was something that really was the same for you, just like so many other women.
Yeah. And then eventually they put me on a preventative medication because it was still increasing the amount of days per month. And that was for low blood pressure medication.
Okay.
I mean, for people with high blood pressure, and then I have low blood pressure. So that's kind of was my breaking point where I'm like, this doesn't make sense for me. I'm like, I have low blood pressure. You're putting me on a medication for high blood pressure. So I did that just for a little bit, but that's when I was like, I got to find something different.
Absolutely. And that was a really smart move because unfortunately, there's only 2 classes of medications that are actually made for migraines. They're the triptans that we all know and loved in the beginning and don't love now because they're so addictive. They are extremely addictive and they cause such high levels of rebound migraines. So if you're taking a triptan, know that some of the migraines that you're getting, they are being caused by that triptan. It seems really counterintuitive. Your doctor gives you a medication that's going to cause migraines, but that's what's happening. And then the other class is the new class, the CGRPs that have come out, and we're basically seeing the same results that we did with the triptans. They work great in the beginning, and then they stop working. But like Kristin mentioned, all the other medications that are out there that are being prescribed for people with migraines, they're being prescribed off script, which means if somebody was taking that medication, the blood pressure medication, and they realized that the side effect was reducing migraines or reducing headaches. So that's why they start prescribing it to people like you to see if it helps. But the sad thing is women that have migraines on average have low blood pressure, as Kristin said she did. So here you go, giving somebody who already has low blood pressure. And if you're anything like I was, Kristin, I go in the doctor's office and they're like, are you okay? Do you need to sit? Do you need to sit? Are you all right? I'm like, no, this is just the way my blood pressure is. And then they give you a med that's going to even reduce it more, which we know is not safe. And it's going to make you feel like garbage. And again, doesn't get to the root of the problem. So you got fed up, you got sick of it. And, this, I'm guessing, is when you started searching for other answers. So what made you decide when I'm assuming you saw us on Facebook, you saw probably, one of my articles on Facebook. What made you decide to give the Freedom from Migraine method a chance and to give us a try?
Yeah, I knew just taking medication wasn't for me, as a solution. So I just started looking online on the internet, listening to different programs. Some of them were, online too, but just like recordings and in programs, but not interactive with a support team. A lot of them were just like keto focused and I'm married, 2 kids, dog, all that. So I didn't think that was sustainable for the long term. So when I saw your program and I watched videos from other women and just read about it and the fact that it wasn't as constrictive, you only take away what you need to take away. And it just seemed like it would be a better fit for me and my family, something I could sustain. And the way you talked about inflammation, I didn't really think about migraines as like a disease. I just thought of it as the pain because the doctor's always like, oh, you're so healthy, you have low blood pressure, you have good cholesterol, but I wasn't thinking of what it was doing to my body. And so the inflammation part, that once you talked about that, it made total sense of, there's something going on in my body and it's not as healthy as everyone's telling me. So just the fact too that it was just you can do it and it's not going to be this like strict diet. You don't give us this like diet that you have to follow, can only eat these foods or these things are restrictive. And it was just the lifestyle changes, which I wanted to do. And my nurse practitioner would say, like, track your migraines. I didn't know what I was tracking. I knew I had issues with weather and that was something out of my control. And people said, oh, well, chocolate does it, or wine. And I couldn't see it because I'm like, well, one day I have chocolate and I'm fine. And then another time I did. So I wasn't sure how to track it. I wasn't sure what my triggers were. And I didn't realize that the triggers come, it's your threshold, that if I could bring everything down a little bit, I could probably do a lot of things that, might be forbidden if you have a migraine. But if I could get the other things under control, then I had a lot more flexibility.
Absolutely. And we really try hard in the Freedom from Migraine method to focus on the fact that we are all human beings and we all want to live like
Right.
normal human beings. And as you said, we have kids, we have spouses, we have pets, we have jobs, some of us have grandkids. And if you're living a life that is 100% restrictive, it makes it difficult to enjoy yourself, to fit in, and to be able to sustain that, because I think that's the problem with a lot of programs out there. And there are some amazing migraine programs out there that I've actually recommended people to if I feel I can't help them. Because some people do come to me in such a severe state that they need those super restrictive programs to get them out of the storm that they're in. But the average woman that has migraines, the average person that comes to me, really can work in a program that, as you said, we only take away what we have to, and we only take it away for the amount of time that we have to. Now, we're never going to eat like we're 16 again, having pizza every day and soda and chips and cookies and all that. We realize that that's not healthy for us. But the goal is to make it a nice, healthy lifestyle, and then be able to enjoy that birthday cake, or be able to enjoy a glass of wine here or there at a celebration in the future once we've calmed that migraine storm. So I love how you mentioned that we really work hard at making sure that you can feel that and not feel like life is just, you're in this little bubble and that's the only place you get to live. So in the Freedom from Migraine method, what do you think your biggest aha moment was when working through the program?
Like I was mentioning, like the threshold, like building the threshold by doing all the pieces, like the hydration and the salt and cutting out the sugar and sleep, like and getting the toxins out of my environment. Like just doing a little bit of all those raised my threshold. So things like weather. In the beginning, the weather still did bother me, but if you live anywhere in the Northeast, you realize there's been rain and thunderstorms every day, and I have not had a migraine at all through that. And then also like the tools, I was doing the wrong things when I got a migraine. I didn't want to exercise because I was in so much pain. Now I know it's better to go for like a walk. Also the food choices, when I had the nausea, I'd probably pick like a simple carb because I didn't feel good. Now I know that's not the right choice. So just knowing, or having the tools to help if I can feel like a tension in my neck or like a level 1 migraine coming on, I can knock it down without medication. And knowing too, like you're like, if you need it, you can take it. There's no one size fits all and, like, oh, I'm anti-medication or anything. If I need it in the beginning, you're like, if you need it, you need it. Like, so there's no pressure.
Absolutely. Because we are definitely not anti-med. We're anti-med for life, unless it's something that is a replacement. So for example, my husband's type 1 diabetic, his pancreas will never work again. So he has to take insulin. He will have to take that medication for life. He has no choice. But for someone who has migraines, we'll live without our migraine meds. We're going to be in pain, which is why we take them until we're ready, until our body is 100% ready to wean off of those meds and make sure you have the tools, which Kristin, you just mentioned, that we teach you what those tools are to be able to use when you feel that migraine coming on, so that we can stop it very quickly, so it doesn't hit that migraine storm. Because once we hit that, then we know we're kind of riding it out. But I just want to unpack the threshold too. I love how you just mentioned the threshold, because that's something that we focus on in the program versus focusing on all of your triggers. Because if any of you watching this have ever tried to figure out all of your triggers, good luck. It's impossible, especially food triggers, because it can take up to 72 hours for a food trigger to actually show. So you may eat chocolate one day and be fine, and then eat it another time 72 hours later, you have an issue. So was it chocolate? Was it not chocolate? Was it the weather? Was it not the weather? Which is why we work really hard at, your threshold right here is no pain. Right here is your migraine. We work really hard at making the space this big. So everything Kristin learned in the program when she started, she was probably here. So any little thing she did was tipping her over the edge. But what we work on is making that so big so that if we have that piece of chocolate, if the weather's bad that she can't control, if maybe her kids are driving her crazy that day, so it's a little more stressful, whatever the case may be, you can live more humanly before you actually get close to that threshold again. So I love how you explain that so that everyone out there knows that it isn't about finding that laundry list of triggers, because man, would that be exhausting. And there isn't like one size fits all, as you said. So somebody can't just make a list of triggers and say, here you go. Well, actually we could, right? We could make a list of things that we thought were triggers. The list would be 10,000 things long, and no one would be able to eat anything or do anything ever, right. Which would be no fun. So, okay. So when you started before the program, you said you were getting like 8 migraines a month, taking meds that weren't working. So tell us how you're feeling now.
Yeah, I feel great now. I don't take any medication, no dailies and no rescue medication. And in the beginning, I had to take some Tylenol and things like that. I haven't even taken that for months. So I feel really good. Yeah, I feel good. I feel healthy. I think it helps with the inflammation in the rest of your body. When you're in your 50s, you get a little joint pain, elbows and knees, but I think it's helping that too. And it's good for me to realize that some of these things that I didn't think about that were bad for me were causing inflammation in my body. So now I'm not thinking about bringing medication with me. I'm thinking about bringing my water and make sure I ate good before I'm, going out with friends and, maybe got exercise that day. So I'm trying to prevent anything to come up, so I have the tools now to do that. So
that's wonderful. And obviously that worked well for you because you just went on vacation a little while ago. Yep. And as we know, vacation can be a big trigger for so many people, the traveling, the eating different, the sleeping different, the different schedule, and you were able to go on vacation and enjoy yourself.
Yep, I did. I had a great time and I didn't have any migraines.
Hurt your toe, but not your head, right?
Hurt my toe, but what can I do about that? That was stupid. But, yeah, no, it was great. And I, enjoyed the meals and stuff like that. I skipped, the sugary drinks at the swim up bar and all that. But I made my choices. I wanted to have a glass of wine with dinner so I could avoid those drinks during the day at the bar and skip, the dessert. So I ate dessert once and didn't feel great the next morning. So I knew, I was like, okay, I didn't feel so good the next morning, but it wasn't, I really didn't get a migraine. I just felt a little like, wasn't worth it.
So it was enough of a warning. And, 6 months from now, a year from now, your body will probably react to that dessert totally different. Yeah. So you're just so close to finishing the program that your body you've relieved yourself of those migraines. And now we still have to continue on to make sure that, your body is fully healed and ready to go. Because as you mentioned, it's that underlying inflammation that's causing everything. And I think so many people in the group, when I say that, they think, well, I'm not inflamed, because you think you're going to see it on your face or see it on your body, that, well, I would know if I had chronic inflammation, but you can look 100% healthy, because the first time I met you, you looked 100% healthy. You worked out a lot.
Tell me how healthy I was.
Your blood work looked great. Everything looked great. But, the markers are there, and little telltale signs of things. Like you mentioned, joint pain, that's definitely a telltale sign. If anybody's having any joint pain, back pain, neck pain. I think I just lost my headphones. Can you guys still hear me?
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to switch. Just wanted to make sure. Okay. So we talked about inflammation. We talked about how you're doing now, which is amazing. So where do you think that you would be today if you didn't find us and didn't start the Freedom from Migraine Method program before?
Well, I'd probably be on daily medication and worried about fainting from having low blood pressure. And taking rescue medication that wasn't working. So I'd probably still be looking for, I never did the Botox and stuff, but I'd probably be looking at the next thing. Like, oh, should I try the Botox? People tell me to get that piercings.
Yeah,
I
the
just
dye
was like, I don't
piercing.
understand how that would work. Like, so I didn't do it, but I'd probably be open to keep trying the next
Yeah.
thing or buying another gadget to put on. And I think I just keep searching for an answer to the pain instead of finding the root cause. So I'm glad, it just seemed like a better fit finding the reason. Because when I'd go to the doctors, they didn't say like, well, let's figure out why you're having the migraines. They just want to help you with the pain. So they were sympathetic, which was nice, but there was never like a way to get to the issue. It was like, oh, you probably, as you get older, you probably get less, and because it's hereditary and things like that. But yeah, there's
because our doctors, they're so well-meaning, right? We go in and they don't want us in pain. They don't, they want to keep us out of pain, but they unfortunately most conventional doctors get one nutrition class the whole time they're in med school. And sadly, they tell them when they start med school, by the time that they're done, half of the stuff that they learned is going to be changed and obsolete. That's just how quickly science changes and medicine changes. So they don't have the time. A conventional doctor doesn't have the time to dive deep into the impact that we have on, the choices that we make and how that impacts our health. And this is where functional medicine is really picking up the baton and running with it. So, that's the modality that we practice. We practice a functional approach. So, Kristin, as you know, we didn't really talk about your head a lot in the program. We talk about your gut. We talk about your stress, your emotions. It all relates to helping with the head pain, but it's not like we're dissecting your head, because that's really not where the issue is coming from. The inflammation is coming from so many other things in your world, not hydrating properly, the food that you're eating, the either too much or too little exercise, the way you perceive stress, the chemicals that you come into contact with daily, all of those things are what we focus on. And by doing that, that in turn helps our head, which is what we love. We can get to that root cause, like you said. So we have quite a few people on today, which is wonderful. Checking out the video today. And I know there's a bunch of you that wanted to watch this that unfortunately are at work. So we will make sure that we tag everybody in this video so that they can catch up later. Please let me know, those that are watching, if you have any questions in the comments, so we make sure we get your questions answered before we finish up today. But Kristin, what would you tell that person who, right now they're just skeptical, which is 100% understandable. They're in this group because they're just trying to find ways to manage their pain. They think that that's all that can be done. They think that they are unique, that they've tried everything, that maybe, Kristin, you're special and you're the lucky one who just got pain-free. What would you tell that person who's afraid to take that leap of faith and jump on a call and see if the Freedom from Migraine method's right for them?
Yeah, for me, it's definitely worth it. I was nervous when I joined because it is a time, money commitment. But to me, my health is the most important thing for the future. In the long run, I'm just going to save money. I haven't filled a prescription. I've always eaten well, but just tweaking it a little bit to make it better. To be pain-free it's a gift. So, if you're willing to do a little hard work, learn some new things, be open, like crazy, some of the things like adding salt for someone, like learning things, all these things, everyone that has migraines, we do have a lot of similarities, which besides my mom, I don't really know a lot of people with migraines. So I didn't realize like a lot of us have similar things. So this program works for such a wide variety of people because we're getting to the root cause. But I was nervous, I have to admit, because, it's online, it's on Facebook, and, like Facebook tries to sell you things. But after speaking with Debbie, she's just very sincere. The program, I like that you can go at your own pace. You do the modules, you can repeat them if you want, but you have the weekly support calls. So you can ask tons of questions, but the women in the group are very supportive. So you can just type something in on Facebook and everyone comes and gives you some input and helps you out, or just says, okay, move on next day. So it's to me, it was totally worth it. And I think it's going to be even better than for just my migraines, for my whole body. I'm going to reap the benefits of it for years to come. So to me, if you want to invest in yourself and you're willing to make some changes, if you just think she's going to wave a magic wand over your head and you can just eat junk and stay up late and, not exercise, then it's probably not the right program for you. But if you want to make some changes, which, a lot of them are not that hard. It just takes the commitment to do it. Some of them were just minor changes for me, my dog. And, but it's totally worth it for me, 100%.
Yeah, I wish I had that magic wand, because that would be amazing. We could have a quick, 45-minute call, and then I'd be able to tell everybody, great, you're pain-free and you're set. But I do like, Kristin, how you were honest that there is work involved. So you need to be ready. You need to be at that point in your life where you're saying, okay, I'm done wasting hours, days, years, decades, giving that to migraines. I'm ready to take my control back, and I'm ready to be healthy. And if you are ready for that, then the program is laid out so in such a way that you can be the busiest person on the face of the earth and still manage to do it. We had people that were working 100-hour work weeks, and why it's challenging to do it when you're working a 100-hour work week. You can make it work when your health is your priority.
And who has time to stay in bed for 2 or 3 days either? So one way or the other, you can.
One way or the other, you're spending the time. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I work, I volunteer, I have kids, parents, like if you want to get better, you have to make some time for yourself. You really do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the other thing that I love that you said was this program not only helped you with your migraines, but it helps with overall health. Yeah. And I think that's really important for everyone to know that inflammation is at the root to all chronic illness, all autoimmunity, almost every allergy, and so many other things that just make us not feel well, like simple things like brain fog, or being tired, all those kind of things, having anxiety, depression, panic attacks. All of those things are at the root cause of migraines. So the women that have come into the program and worked on their migraines and found that migraine freedom, not only have they achieved that, but they have reversed small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. They've reduced candida. They've lowered their thyroid medication and put their Hashimoto's into remission. They've relieved themselves, Kristin, you mentioned, of some joint, aches and pains, those start going away because you don't have the inflammation. We've had people who've stopped arthritis in its tracks, who've put their MS in remission. And it's all because we're working on that inflammation. So it's, it's a win-win program for anyone that wants to better their health, but also a win-win program for anyone who wants to benefit the health of their family, because most of the women in this group are doing the cooking, or at least, in charge of what food's coming into the house, what activities are happening. We're kind of the lifeblood, not every household, I know this generalizing, but we're kind of the lifeblood of the household. So when we make changes and our family sees us making changes, what a great gift that we're giving to our spouses and our kids, and our grandkids at the same time, to, instill them those habits for their future. So that is amazing. I love it. All right, Kristin, any last words of wisdom? Any last things you want to say to the 1,700 women in this group that are watching, that are so excited that you're migraine free and a little bit jealous and want to be the same as you right now?
Yeah, I mean, I would just say, if you're ready for a change, it's totally worth it. Hop on a call with Debbie. The women are so supportive. The program is doable. It's not, it's nothing where you're like measuring food or counting calories or anything like that. Like, I was never a person to do anything like that. I just would always be like, okay, did I get my vegetables today? Like that. So it kind of, it was really good because it went with my lifestyle. But if you want to get better and get to the root cause, this is a great program for you. It's it's really broken down into small pieces. So you can just do one little piece at a time, because it's not one thing that's going to make you get better if I just do one thing. So if you want to improve your whole health and get rid of your headaches and get off medication, it's totally worth it. I'm so glad I found the program. But yeah, I mean, put yourself first for a little bit, and I mean, everyone will benefit, your family, your friends. You'll be out there with them. You won't be canceling on anybody or just pushing through the pain, driving, thinking, how did I even get here? You know, it's 100% worth it.
Isn't that the worst feeling when you're in the car with your kids and you get somewhere and you're like, yeah, I don't remember how I got them here because I was focused on my pain, but I had to get them to their sporting event or whatever the case may be. Actually, we have a couple of questions here. Susan wants to know, how long were you in the program before you noticed changes?
I actually noticed changes right away just by increasing my water. I drank a lot of salsa water before, and I thought, oh, it's water. But, you know, Debbie just said pure filtered, plain water, easy, it's free. I have a filter on my fridge, so I had it right there. And adding some sodium, which I always thought salt was bad for you, but I didn't realize people with migraines have usually low sodium and low blood pressure. So right away, just doing that little first step helped me out. And I was like, wow, this is great. I don't need to do a lot more, but then I still had a few more. So really in the first couple of weeks, just starting with the hydration, I always knew you were supposed to drink like about half your body weight in water, but I never measured it. You know what I mean? So I thought I was drinking a lot of water. So until I really measured it, I was off. I needed to increase it. And, you know, slowly you can't go from 12 ounces to 60 ounces overnight. So I did really actually feel better, even in the first couple of weeks. And then I still had some migraines, but then I was also reducing medication at the same time. I didn't go cold turkey. So I think you will see some benefits right away. And then as you reduce your medication, you might get some migraines, but you're reducing the medication and doing other steps. So it's going to take you a few months to get there, but I think right away I did see benefits.
Absolutely. And just to clarify for everyone, all results are different. You know, so some people may see results in 2 weeks. Some people may not notice anything for 2-3 months. A lot of it really depends on how many changes you have to make, how quickly you're making the changes, and what health history you actually came to the program with. You know, if you come to the program with a lot of other health conditions and your body is super inflamed, like you have autoimmunity, you're missing your gallbladder, you've had you know, past cancer, or, you know, all those kind of things, those add up. So that's going to take a little bit longer to work on the overall health of your body. You definitely came to us, in my opinion, one of the healthier, you know, people in the group, because you didn't have all those backgrounds, but we are looking into some thyroid things for you. You know, there's always that little other piece in there. So results vary. So I don't want anyone to think, you know, to be discouraged if they're in the Freedom from Migraine method right now and they're watching this and they're brand new, that, you know, if they don't see results in 2 weeks, you will see subtle shifts though. You will absolutely see subtle shifts. And I love how, Kristin, you mentioned the ups and downs. So I like to think about it like a roller coaster. So, you know, you're going up, you're getting some pain relief. And then all of a sudden you take like a big dive down. You just went up a meds, you know, so you're going to start getting pain, and then things start getting better. You go up and up and up. And the next time you go down, it might be a little smaller. So you might get a migraine, but it's not as severe. It doesn't last as long. You know, it's not as bad. And then, you know, you're going to get that good period again. And then the next time, maybe it's a little tiny dip, and then you slide home. So that's kind of the way the program is it's not always, you know, I'm going to go from 30 migraines down to 6 with no bumps in the road. That's just not the way things work. Because when we adjust diets, when we go off of meds, when we make changes to sleep or exercise, you know, there's testing and tweaking in there, but it's all heading to the goal that we want. It's all getting us to the right direction. It just, everybody's roller coaster looks a little different.
Yeah, it's not,
if that makes sense.
It's not a straight line down, but because you're doing things, you know, like I had to get off of my daily medication. So I cut it in half after, you know, Debbie said, talk to your doctor. You know, she's not just like, oh, cut that out. So I talked to my doctor. We cut it in half and cut it in half again until it was gone. But then I still had the barometric pressure to deal with. And so I downloaded an app on my phone, which again, doesn't make it go away, but made me more aware. So then some of the tips in the program, I could kind of bump them up a little bit more when I knew the weather was going to get bad. So I did have a little bit of up and down, but some of the things were out of my control. And some of the things I said, oh, I can do that a little better, maybe
Absolutely.
say, oh, meet my friend for a walk because then I can't cancel on her, and, do things to help you set yourself up for success.
Exactly. I love that. I actually schedule walks with friends now because I spend a lot of time here, right here. So I need to do that as well. It's really important when you schedule things to be able to make sure you do them. Last question we have on here. Do you have any good stress management tips, Kristin? What do you do for stress management to try to keep you even keeled?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't realize in the beginning how much stress affects migraines. I didn't put that piece together. I mean, I know stress is bad for you. In one of the modules is a stress module, and the thing I took out of it was the deep breathing, because that's easy for me to do. I can do it sitting in the car, waiting for my kids, or in bed for a few minutes before I wake up if I got like a lot of stuff on my mind, or before bed to try to quiet my mind. I do like to exercise, whether it's going for a walk or going to the gym or taking my dog out or going hiking and things like that. I feel like exercise is a big stress reducer for me. And, in the beginning, if you have a bad headache, it's hard to exercise. Debbie would even say, just go for a walk. And I found that to be very helpful, where in the beginning, I thought just to lay down and be in the dark. So now I push myself, where now I feel good. I don't have to worry about pushing myself to do the exercise, but just to make time for yourself. For me, exercise is a big thing. I know a lot of people in the program did yoga, and that was really helpful for them. I do like yoga too. I don't do it every day, but the deep breathing worked really well for me.
Absolutely. And I do think that's a very individualized thing, figuring out what helps you perceive your stress differently. Because at the end of the day, it's actually not the stress that's bad, because we can have good stresses and bad stress. Like you can feel stressed about a wedding or a baby being born, that kind of thing. It's the way we perceive it, the way that our body perceives it. Like, do we think that we're running from a saber-toothed tiger? We're in that fight or flight all the time. And when we're in that fight or flight all the time, that's when stress is a problem. But stress in smaller amounts can actually motivate us to do things. Like if we feel that we're in a dangerous situation, we want to feel stressed so that it makes us react. It makes us move and get out of that situation. We just don't want to feel that all the time. So I love how you said you take the deep breathing with you. And I've actually caught myself before, like, I'm like, why are people staring at me? And I realized that I'm like doing yoga breathing in a store. I'm like, oh, okay, that Ujjayi breath is probably a little loud in the middle of Target. But it's like so ingrained in me now that when I start feeling that stress come on, I just go back to that breathing, and that's what works for me. So I think everybody has to find their own thing, but breath is a great place to start. So wonderful. Well, Kristin, I can't thank you enough for coming on today, sharing your time and your experience with everyone. This really means a lot, especially as I said, because there is so much skepticism around the fact that, you can change. As you said, you were skeptical, and I wouldn't blame you. You didn't know me from anybody. I'm some lady on Facebook that's telling you that I can do something that your doctors haven't been able to do. So I'm so glad that you took a chance on yourself, and that you took that time and spent that money on yourself to be able to bring you migraine freedom. And we're going to miss you. This is the part I don't like. I love that you get migraine freedom, but I hate letting you guys go. So hopefully we can keep contact on Facebook, and please always let us know how you're doing. And again, thank you for your time today.
Oh, thank you so much.
Absolutely. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining today. And here is to your migraine free date. We will see you in the group. Bye, everybody. Bye.